Oh man, Blake, you are in so much trouble. So much trouble. And I'm very confident in the fact that Blake is the bully. Blake was absolutely using Taylor, and I think she's done this to a lot.
When two Hollywood power players, Taylor Swift and Justin Baldoni, step in to challenge Blake Lively's version of events, the story takes a dramatic turn. What unfolds behind the scenes is a tangled web of blurred boundaries, broken friendships, and a lawsuit that flips everything upside down. The question at the heart of it all remains: was Blake truly the victim she claims to be, or was she quietly pulling the strings all along? As the layers peel back, one thing becomes clear. The truth is far more complex and unsettling than anyone anticipated.
Blake Lively was accused of threatening Taylor Swift to publicly support her or else release 10 years worth of text messages, amongst other things. A source came to Justin Baldoni's lawyer, and Justin Baldoni's lawyer entered this into the motion, which of course did not go well with the judge because of some procedural issues. So the judge basically says, I got to reject it from the docket, and it's going to have to be re-entered in some sort of different way because Taylor Swift's lawyer is involved in a lawsuit, a subpoena by Justin Baldoni's attorney in the District of Columbia. So there's some issues above my pay grade with why the judge rejected this right now, but the truth is the truth. And Baldoni wanted to get a subpoena of Taylor Swift so that he could look at this one email that proves that she was being extorted by Blake Lively. Well, who's the one who leaked this story? Candace Owens has it right here.
So who was the person? Who was Unexpected Dragon? Who was the person that very clearly after this Super Bowl thing got upset? Drum roll, please, you guys. Allegedly. Taylor Swift's father.
Of course.
Scott Swift. I love this so much. You guys, this means the mother of dragons, Khaleesi, forgot that there could be a father to the dragon, a father to...
By the way, fathers know best, okay? I'm a dad. I've been one for a whole year now. And let me tell you something. Somebody gets in the way of you, your family, your loved one, you're going to do what you need to do. And Taylor Swift may have taken the high road, but Daddy Swift, not so much. The original Swiftie says, I don't think so. And let me tell you something. This father Swift clearly thinks the world of Taylor. I think he moved his whole business from Pennsylvania to Nashville, right? Just so that they could see the All-American Rejects. No, just so maybe Taylor Swift will be opening for All-American Rejects for all we know. But either way, this is no surprise to me. And there were rumblings that this might be the case, but good for him. Go to bat for your family.
Her dragon, Taylor Swift. This savage man, Scott Swift, is going to turn me into a Swiftie. When I say a Swiftie, I don't mean a Taylor Swift fan, okay? I mean a Scott Swift fan, because...
Blake Lively was not only performing in front of the camera, but also exerting significant control behind it, especially during the filming of intimate scenes with co-star Justin Baldoni. Although an intimacy coordinator was officially part of the production, sources claim Blake's involvement went far beyond standard collaboration, as she personally oversaw choreography, camera angles, lighting, and framing. She reportedly made firm decisions rather than suggestions, shaping each moment with careful precision to balance vulnerability and restraint. Crew members say every glance, touch, and pause was meticulously planned, effectively positioning Blake as an unofficial director of intimacy and subtly shifting the power dynamics on set in a way rarely seen, even among top-tier actresses. Her involvement was so hands-on that production was sometimes paused as she made real-time adjustments to maintain her comfort and control. In one particularly revealing emotional kissing scene, insiders say Blake halted filming multiple times to recalibrate the interaction, repositioning Justin to avoid shadows on her face and slowing the pace to preserve authenticity. These choices were not merely technical, but deeply intentional, reflecting a clear effort to protect both her performance and personal boundaries. For a time, this assertiveness was praised, with some on set viewing her as empowering and redefining how actresses could claim agency over intimate scenes. However, the narrative has since grown complicated. Now that Blake is accusing Justin of crossing boundaries during those same scenes, questions are intensifying. How could someone who orchestrated so much of the interaction later claim victimization? This apparent contradiction has become a central tension in the case, blurring the line between creative authority and compromised consent. Whether her control served as protection or has instead complicated her legal claims remains an unresolved issue the industry continues to grapple with.
Lively's attorneys were quick to declare this a win for her side now that Justin has withdrawn the subpoena sent to Taylor and her legal team after the firm objected to the amount of the unwarranted fishing expedition, et cetera, et cetera. Lively's team was quick to reply with a statement and said that we are pleased that Justin and the Wayfair parties have withdrawn their harassing subpoenas to Taylor Swift and her law firm. We supported the efforts of Taylor's team to quash these inappropriate subpoenas directed to her counsel, and we will continue to stand up for any third party who is unjustly harassed or threatened in the process. Oh my God, what a big laugh. Now, the reality is why they did this, the reality of why they squashed this, they got what they wanted. Now, others have started reporting on what we alluded to when this initially broke, because I told you guys, look, I still firmly believe it, and I'm hearing it more and more through sources and people I'm talking to. There's only 3 people that this source who told Justin's team that they were extorted could be Tree, Taylor's manager publicist, or her dad, Scott, or her mom. Now, I'm leaning more towards her parents more and more. Candace Owens just went the other day and heavily implied it as well. I think we're on the same wavelength. Now, again, they haven't themselves confirmed it yet, and they may not want to, but it makes total sense, guys. You got to think about this. As Taylor Swift is now being extorted and threatened with all these text messages to come out, that doesn't help her brand at all. And she's a very powerful business with a huge fan base. I don't think they react well to bullies. I really don't. And I think this was too much for the entire empire to bear. And so it makes total sense that her parents or her manager were the ones who went out and said enough is enough. And now that they've squashed it, now, like, really think about it. Now that it's squashed, which all these outlets are trying to say, oh, no longer subpoena, no longer. Why do you think that really was? Now, this is my opinion, my conspiracy theory. It's exactly what it says right here. They got what they wanted. Now, if they have proof that Taylor's lawyer was threatened, if that's all real, that will come out in the process. And they clearly wanted it out there to send a warning shot to Blake and Ryan, who think they're on the road, winning, and they're winning, but no. If they can prove that Taylor Swift's team and lawyers, in fact, confirmed or gave them the evidence to show that they were asked not to do this, oh man, Blake, you are in so much trouble.
Fallout between Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively has become increasingly complex and troubling, especially given Justin's long-standing reputation for respect, consent, and ethical collaboration on set. Known for creating safe environments and encouraging open communication, the allegations in Blake's lawsuit accusing him of crossing personal boundaries shocked many in the industry because they sharply contradict his public image. Yet insiders suggest the reality behind the scenes was far more nuanced, claiming that during the intimate scenes at the center of the dispute, Blake often directed Justin herself, giving detailed instructions on positioning, pacing, and emotional tone, and even pausing production to guide his performance. Witnesses describe Justin as cautious and attentive, frequently checking in to ensure her comfort, with his team maintaining that he sought her approval at every step. These accounts clash with the narrative of misconduct, and Justin's legal team hints at behind-the-scenes footage and private messages that allegedly show Blake actively shaping and approving the same scenes she now questions. Adding another unexpected layer, Taylor Swift's involvement, given her close friendship with Blake, has intensified the drama and raised further questions about the gap between public claims and private interactions. As the case unfolds, what truly happened between Blake and Justin and why Taylor has stepped into the conflict remain unresolved mysteries waiting to be revealed.
father, he's had some run-ins with paparazzi where he's kind of manhandled them, just politely push them, throw some, glitter bombs in their face or whatever, hey, look, you got to do what you got to do to protect your family, and you love to see it, because here, this goes to show Taylor Swift, right? You think what you want about her. I think very highly of her. She's built $1 billion business and an empire as one of the biggest, if not the biggest pop stars of all time, and she writes all of her own music, so, as far as I have to say, beat it, right? We're all Taylor Swift fans here, whether you like it or not. And by the way, because I always rant on billionaires, but there are some billionaires who, by the way, I feel like should be taxed at a much higher level because of their wealth, that got it in more ethical ways than others. And yeah, you could hate on her for all the jet fuel she burns traveling around the world. I get that. But none of that matters to this story. The point of the story is, listen, this is why Taylor Swift felt so abandoned and betrayed by Blake Lively, because she has to keep such a tight-knit circle because everyone's out to get her. She's like if you were the All-American Rejects times a billion, okay? Sure, they can sell out a backyard in, Des Moines, but Taylor Swift sells out stadiums, right? She is huge. She can't fly, Spirit Airlines. She has to fly private. She can't go places because she gets swarmed. She wants to give one person a photo, then there's a line around the block. It's insatiable how famous she is. By the way, for Donald Trump to say she's no longer hot because he said so is laughable. She could sell out any place in the world, right? She could be like, all right, I'm doing a concert at the Sphinx, and then a bunch of, Egyptians are going to roll up there on their, look, hey, how are you? So anyhow, the point is, King Tut's going to come out of his grave. Hey, I'd love to see you, big fan. So the point is that she's huge, and for Blake Lively to cross her, this at least is reinforcement that her father and her family have her back. Of course, her boy toy, as it were, Travis Kelce, unfollows Ryan Reynolds. And this is a big, big story.
And by the way, I want to be clear. The reason why I respect this move is because it's his daughter, okay? I'm always going to respect a parent that is willing to burn it all down to the ground to protect their kid, okay? There's an element of that as a parent, real going to recognize real. And Scott Swift played me. He saw me. Scott Swift saw me. Fisherman always sees another fisherman. He saw me salivating for these text messages. He saw me being like, we're going to see the real Taylor Swift. And he was like, no, Candace, the world will never meet the real Taylor Swift. But what clearly set him off, given the timeline of you see a phone call allegedly coming in on February 14th, it would have been this extortion attempt. And I wouldn't try it. I keep trying to tell people, Taylor Swift's parents are not from nowhere. They're not nobodies. Scott Swift, what's his background? Stockbroker, okay? Her family was so financially successful that when their little girl said, I want to be a singer, they up and moved her to Nashville.
I think Candace and I have, very similar ways of thinking. I could imagine Candace growing up played with a lot of dolls by herself. She just, and I don't mean this as an insult, but she's kind of got that creativity where she puts together all of the pieces in her head. It's not always right, but it's not always wrong either. And this is a big bombshell moment. So go check out that full conversation that Candace, I mean, hey, look, say what you want. You don't have to agree with her politics. I certainly don't agree with probably I don't know, 80% of her politics. But I got to recognize game where I see it, right? She's able to talk through the camera to her audience as if someone else is there. And they're not, and good for her. So she, came back from maternity leave to talk about the parental urges to protect your kid.
Blake Lively's lawsuit against Justin Baldoni has ignited intense debate around consent, control, and the surprising role of Taylor Swift, centering on intimate scenes Blake now claims spiraled beyond her consent due to alleged improvised physical touches and prolonged, unplanned kissing that left her feeling blindsided and uncomfortable. While these accusations are serious on their face, the situation grows far more complicated as multiple witnesses and crew members allege Blake exercised an unusually high level of creative control over those same scenes, closely choreographing interactions, directing pacing, reviewing camera angles, and giving Justin explicit instructions, behavior some described as akin to a second director. This raises a critical question. How could scenes she appeared to actively guide later become the basis of misconduct claims? The confusion deepens with Blake's own post-production interview, in which she praised the set as safe and collaborative and publicly thanked Justin for respecting her creative instincts, statements that now sharply contrast with her legal complaint. Further testimony from a crew member present during reshoots describes Justin repeatedly checking in, seeking consent for adjustments, and receiving Blake's approval each time, at times even being encouraged to be more expressive, interactions her lawsuit now characterizes as coercive. These contradictions have become central to the case, fueling speculation within the industry about whether the dispute is truly about boundary violations or reflects deeper off-screen power dynamics and strategic positioning, a common undercurrent in Hollywood legal battles. Adding yet another layer to the unfolding drama is Taylor Swift, once Blake's closest ally, whose unexpected involvement and rumored contribution of key evidence could dramatically alter the course of the case, leaving the true motivations and realities behind the lawsuit still unresolved.
Reality check here is Taylor Swift is no longer friends with Blake Lively. I firmly believe this. And the evidence is here because People magazine, who has been typically Team Blake, has now turned and says their friendship has halted. The singer wants no part in this drama. I mean, who doesn't believe this? If you're a Swiftie, how do you not believe this? Of course she wants no part of drama. She never wants part of... She likes to cause some drama. She does cause her own drama when she feels it's justified, and she shuts down drama with her lawyers and her reps all the time. We're going to get to that in a second, but let's go through what this source says. Insiders shed light on where the friends stand. We know where they stand. They don't stand anywhere near each other anymore. It's halted, a source tells People. The two stars are taking some space, but their friendship isn't completely over yet. I think that's a nice, stop this, Blake, end this lawsuit, and maybe we'll see. But Swift was issued the subpoena, and of course that upset her. The battle against Justin Baldoni continues. Multiple sources tell People exclusively that the actress's relationship with Swift is struggling as the singer faces a subpoena by Baldoni's legal team. I'll tell you right up, it was struggling when she read Blake Lively speaking about her friend in private and using her, labeling her dragon. That's a pretty hard thing to not see again. Whoa, that's what you think of me? I'm here to be your chess piece, and you use me to get how you want? Oh, and then, by the way, it turns out Justin maybe wasn't as bad as you kept telling me he was, and I'm seeing all this stuff come in, and it clearly is more complicated, and now I'm being dragged in to this drama. Imagine being a friend with somebody like you would not want to be involved with that friend. You would look at them differently. Of course, that's what's happening here. So yeah, the friendship has halted, a source says close to Swift. Taylor wants no part.
For many observers, it's not hard to understand why Taylor Swift would want no part in this growing controversy. While she generally avoids unnecessary drama, she is known to step in when she believes something is justified, and just as quickly shut things down through her legal team when it isn't. According to insiders, the once close friendship between Swift and Blake Lively has clearly cooled, with sources saying the two are now keeping their distance, even if the relationship isn't officially over. Matters reportedly escalated when Taylor was served a subpoena by Justin Baldoni's legal team, a move that deeply upset her and placed her directly in the middle of a battle she never asked to join. Tensions intensified further after Taylor allegedly learned how Blake had spoken about her in private, including characterizing her as a kind of dragon or strategic weapon, a revelation that left Swift feeling used rather than supported. Adding to the strain, Taylor is now being confronted with information suggesting the situation with Justin may be far more complicated than she was initially led to believe, all while being pulled into public and legal scrutiny. For anyone in her position, being drawn into a friend's legal fight under these circumstances would naturally change how that friendship is viewed, making the growing distance between them feel almost inevitable. The friendship between Taylor Swift and Blake Lively appears to have come to a standstill, with sources close to Swift saying she wants no part in the escalating drama, a development that has added a seismic new layer to the already volatile controversy surrounding Blake's lawsuit against Justin Baldoni. Once celebrated as inseparable friends, Swift and Lively now seem divided as Taylor's unexpected involvement, including a subpoena and alleged cooperation with Baldoni's legal team, has reportedly strained their bond to the breaking point. Insiders claim Swift may have provided private messages and possibly behind-the-scenes material that contradict Blake's accusations, including communications in which Blake allegedly expressed pride in the very scenes she now describes as non-consensual. If authentic, such evidence could significantly undermine Blake's claims and reshape public and legal perceptions of the case. Swift's actions have stunned fans because of her long-standing reputation for fierce loyalty, raising difficult questions about whether she believes the allegations against Justin are false or whether she feels manipulated by Blake behind the scenes. Beyond personal fallout, the case is now forcing Hollywood to confront uncomfortable realities in the post-Me Too era, where empowerment, agency, consent, and accountability increasingly collide. Blake's reported creative control over intimate scenes, once praised as autonomy, now complicates the narrative of victimhood, prompting debate over whether someone can be both the architect and the harmed party in the same situation. As legal experts note, this gray area could set new industry precedents, potentially redefining how responsibility, consent, and documentation are handled on set, while exposing the fragile limits of trust, loyalty, and power under intense public scrutiny. The idea that detailed documentation of actor interactions could become standard, once seen as invasive, is now gaining traction, especially if alleged footage involving Taylor Swift includes candid, unscripted moments from set, signaling a potential industry shift where preserving context is weighed as heavily as protecting privacy. This controversy extends far beyond two celebrities locked in a legal dispute, forcing Hollywood to confront its own contradictions, as performers, particularly women, are encouraged to reclaim power, yet face scrutiny when that power is later questioned in court. The Blake Lively-Justin Baldoni case reflects a broader cultural reckoning, echoing past high-profile disputes defined by blurred boundaries, shifting loyalties, and ambiguous truths, now intensified by Swift's unexpected role not as a bystander, but as a possible key figure. Her willingness to participate in the legal process, even if it challenges a close friend's narrative, raises profound questions about celebrity accountability, the limits of loyalty, and whether fame still offers protection in an era of relentless public scrutiny. At its core, this situation mirrors the entertainment industry's most persistent dilemmas: who controls the narrative, who is believed, and what happens when the storyteller becomes part of the story, making it clear that this case is more than a lawsuit or a fractured friendship, but a cultural flashpoint that could redefine how Hollywood navigates the fragile line between creative freedom and personal accountability.
Before I get to
going
this,
forward.
the update, I got to update you, though, for those that don't know. We reported yesterday that Blake Lively's lawyer allegedly threatened Taylor Swift and extorted her to release a public statement in support of Blake, or text messages would be released. They also accused Taylor of Blake of asking Taylor to delete text messages. This was the original letter that was sent by Brian Friedman. Well, Blake Lively's team was very quick to respond. I've never seen them respond so quick because this headline went everywhere. And so they quickly responded to all the outlets. Well, no, we deny it. This isn't true, blah, 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 blah. And of course, because the media's in their pocket, all these outlets are just bending over. And yes, Blake's response is here as well. I've never seen more people get what they want through the media coverage than these two. It's wild. But Brian Friedman responded to this. This was a letter where they, it should be noted, this was anonymously sourced, and they're just abusing us again, and this is categorically false, blah, 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 blah. There's no evidence. Meanwhile, it's not signed by Gottlieb. It's not signed, I swear by, this is false. It was signed by Ezra Hudson, a different lawyer, not from that firm, which was odd to me. It was a big red flag. Well, if you're going to come out so fiercely and deny it, maybe get the lawyer who's being accused to.
Blake Lively's story is far more layered than it initially seemed, with her lawsuit framing her as a victim of on-set misconduct, while behind-the-scenes accounts point to a level of influence and authority that complicates that narrative. As new details continue to emerge, the line between consent and collaboration grows increasingly blurred, raising questions about whether this was a matter of crossed boundaries or a more intentional dynamic. With Taylor Swift now drawn into the situation and contradictions coming to light, the case exposes how incomplete headlines often are and suggest consequences that extend beyond individual reputations, potentially forcing Hollywood to confront uncomfortable realities and rethink how power, agency, and accountability truly operate behind the scenes.